Hello everyone and welcome to this brand new BirdDog unboxing video. I'm CJ Farrell, one of the product managers, and today I'm going to show you guys the brand new Maki Live. We are so excited for this little portable battery operated camera, and today we're going to unbox it and show you guys exactly how to get off the ground running with this brand new camera. So without further ado, let's go ahead and flip over to the top down shot, show you guys a little bit what's going on here. So here we have the Maki Live. We have some of the information. So this is the QR sticker to get you some quick access information like the guide and the tutorial. And then we also have the MAC address here. So this is going to be the BirdDog identifier when you are logging in. And yeah, so let's go ahead and hop right into it. So on the back side, you'll have this little green tab right here. And in this packaging, we will just pull like so. There we go. And then the cool part, this thing will basically just unfold, and there is your brand new Maki camera. Now inside the box we do have right here, kind of hidden away, a USB cable, so you can plug this right in and act as a UVC camera and get off the ground running there. So let's just show this guy like so, little simple USB cable. And you do have the locking connector as well, which is very nice. So you can be ensured that this thing is not going to go anywhere when you're plugging it in. And then you'll have this little protective film, and let's go ahead and kind of get into this. There we go. And there is the brand new Maki Live camera. So just to kind of go over quickly the I/O of this device, on the back you will have a full-size HDMI port, and then you'll have a micro SD card, and then you also have that locking USB-C connector. Right here is the power button, and these are your power indicator lights as well. Moving around to the front, you do have your two microphone inputs and your time of flight sensor right here. And then we'll have our little lens protector as well. Get rid of that. And then on the bottom, we do have some of our information like the MAC address sticker, and then the 1/4-inch mount if you want to mount this thing to either the monitor mount, to the tripod accessory that we have, and then here's some ventilation to help keep this thing cool. So that's basically the overview there of the Maki Live. It's a very nice form factor. And it has a nice soft touch material on it. And so with that said, that's kind of just what you'll expect to see inside the box. And moving right along, so there's your Maki Live. That's kind of what you'll get in the box along with that USB cable. Beautiful. So now let's go ahead and let's show you guys how to turn this thing on. And the first step we'll want to do is get the iPad app. All right, so let's use our iPad. This is going to be the first step to use along with your BirdDog Maki Live. So we have a free app called the BirdDog Live Companion app, and this is free on the Android and the iOS store. So if you come into the App Store and search Maki Live at the top, you will see Maki Live and then also the Maki Studio Switcher app. So you'll want to download those, and let's go ahead and open this up. So this is the little icon right here, the green square. This is Maki Live, and we'll go ahead and bring you guys into the app for the first time. Now I'll go ahead and flip over back to this screen and then show you guys kind of side by side of how this is going to work. So in this app you will see it's pretty bare bones, but we do have this plus icon, which is the main thing that we're going to want to start with. Once I hit this, there's essentially two modes that we can pair this Maki Live to start. One is Wi-Fi client mode, and this is how we can connect Maki Live to an existing Wi-Fi network. Now, this is going to be your main mode of operation because once you do this, you can connect it to anything on your network and access the web UI over an IP address. So this Wi-Fi client mode is very important. It's the main way you're going to want to connect this thing in order to get this working like most of the other BirdDog cameras you might have used in the past. Now, the other mode that we have is called Wi-Fi AP mode. Now, this is a handy feature if, let's say you go out into an environment and you don't have any type of Wi-Fi network, but you want to connect this camera and control it and maybe record on something like the SD card. For that, you can use this Wi-Fi AP mode, and you can connect the Maki Live directly to an iPad or an iPhone. Now, this can be really handy if you use it something like our Maki Studio app. You can actually connect 3 of these directly to a Maki Studio, bring an Ethernet cable into the iPad, kind of like I'm doing right here, and then you can stream out with the Maki Studio app. So there's a couple options that you can do. But what we'll start with is let's go ahead and do the Wi-Fi client mode and show you guys how to pair this thing for the first time. So what you're going to do is you're just going to press and hold the power button on the Maki Live, and then you will see the tally lights start to flash. And then these indicator lights will go from left to right, basically looking to be paired. So back on the iPad, we will hit next. We will put in our Wi-Fi password here and choose the Wi-Fi network we want to go to. And then here it's going to start searching for the devices. Now, out of the box, you're basically going to see BirdDog dash a serial number, and that serial number is going to correlate to the sticker on the bottom, and it's going to be the last 5 digits. So now that this thing is basically powered up, we will hit refresh, and we are looking for, let's see, 0AC1A, and there it is. So now that I have that option, I'm going to click it. It's going to say configuring Bluetooth. And that's how you pair the device. Now it says connected on that. And then if I hit next, let's see here. Now all of a sudden we are live. So you can see very low latency on that. And in this app, you do have something like zoom control. So if you just press this slider, you can zoom in and out. You can go full screen on the camera if you'd like as well, which is nice. And then here you can actually pair up to 3 of these Maki Live cameras. So it's very handy to get a production underway. And if I hit this plus icon, I can actually add more cameras in as I go. Like I said, you can connect up to 3 cameras on this, which is very nice. If I hit the gear wheel and I go to setup, this is kind of where you can configure most of the settings for this Maki Live. Now, one thing, now that we're in Wi-Fi Connect mode, we can actually go down here to device information, and we can see here that this is the IP address of the camera. So 192.168.0.88, and I can actually go into my web browser on my computer and I can load the web UI on this if I wanted to. So this is most of the settings that you'll get. We can kind of walk through some of them here. Now, by default, and I already changed this because I was using it earlier, but you will have UVC camera as the default method. So when you come out of the box, this thing will basically be a UVC camera ready to go, and you can plug in just that USB included cable straight into your computer, and then it'll pop up as a Maki Live webcam. So that's kind of one of the main grab and go use cases for this guy. Now, the other one is the PoE adapter. So right here, I'm on that option, and this is very handy for using an optional accessory here, which is our PoE adapter, our PoE splitter. Now, this requires PoE to work, but if you plug a PoE switch and go Ethernet into this, you can then plug the USB-C cable into your setup, and then you can power and get a hard-lined Ethernet connection right into your Maki Live. So it makes it very handy if you want to do like a permanent installation or another kind of standard PoE installation that you just leave this camera powered on. You will want to utilize something like this in order to do that. But kind of staying into the Wi-Fi realm, we'll go through some of these settings. At the top here, we do once again have our zoom control. So if I want to go zoom in, zoom out, I do have manual focus here. So if I want to take to manual focus, I can unfocus, go near, so you can slide that focus slider. Nice and easy there. Go back. You do have time of flight, which will help a little bit more with depth control. So you can leave that open or you can close it. It's kind of up to you. If you have a lot of things moving quickly, you might want that time of flight on because it can help for quicker focusing on objects. We do have our save video to SD card. So if you do have a SD card, you can just insert it like so in the back with the little pins upwards. You do have to have kind of a delicate touch there, but once I insert that in, I can come here and then I click start recording, and then you will see the start flashing, and it is now basically recording. So you can leave that running if you want, and then as soon as you untoggle it, it'll stop recording. So pretty easy there. Moving right along, we do have our denoise level. So this is for the microphones inside the camera. So if you need to essentially have some type of background cancellation, you can do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and plug this guy in just so it doesn't die, because I saw it was low out of the box at 25%. So you will wanna charge this thing as soon as you get it. But anyway, you have weak, middle, and strong denoise options. You can also turn it completely off if you want as well, if you don't want any of that AI noise cancellation. Then we also have our gesture control. So if you want to turn this on, you can actually hold out your hand to zoom in and then close your hand to zoom out. For a live production, you probably don't want to do this, but if you're trying to adjust shots, it's very handy so you don't have to need to be near the phone. If you're like the talent on set and you don't have control over it, you can just do the gesture control to get it where you want. So that is a nice option there. Moving along, we do have our tally settings. This is one of my favorite features now. So we have our onboard tally, which this is essentially if you want to use it in a production environment with something like our Maki Studio. And this would be so it goes red and green in preview and program. So you can actually see here on this X4 in front of me, it's red right now because I'm live in a program switcher. And then tally rest state, this is essentially what the light is when this thing's not doing anything. So right now I'm at white. I can turn this off if I want it, and you'll actually see the camera will go off. So this is if you want to be kind of discreet and not have anything going on. You can also choose your own color, which is one of my favorite features. You can go to like a purple or something like that, click there, and now it's nice and purple. Or we can go to something like a yellow, and now it's yellow. So really cool feature to set individual colors for these. So if you wanted to say, look at the blue, green, and red camera, you can actually set them individually. And then we also have a fun one, which is RGB cycle, which is where the camera will essentially cycle through different colors through the RGB cycle. So this is kind of a fun aesthetic look. If you want to just leave this thing going through different colors, you can do that as well. So that's most of the tally settings there. We also have our NDI settings, which is pretty important. So this is where you choose the resolution and the frame rate that you want for connecting this to an NDI stream. So here we can choose our resolutions from 4K, 1080 to 720. We also can disable the NDI if we're just going to use this for like SRT streaming. And then we can also change the name of the stream if we want. Like I said, by default out of the box, it's just going to be BirdDog dash and then the last 5 digits of the MAC address that's on the box and the camera sticker. And then you can also choose the bit rate essentially. So this is going to be from low, medium to high. We also have NDI HX3 presets as well, and that's controlled right now through the web UI. Moving along, we do have our SRT settings, so you can configure that in here. Most of this is going to be done right now through the web UI, and we'll be bringing it to the app as well, but you can actually see what the settings are. So most of that you'll configure on the web UI, which we'll show in a bit here. And then we also have our HDMI output. So if you want to change the output resolution and frame rate of the HDMI port, you can do that right here. So that's individually controlled, which is nice. And then we also have our image settings, which is probably one of the most important ones, especially for someone that's maybe on the go or trying to customize how this thing looks. So here we have things like brightness. So if I turn that up, turn it down, we have wide dynamic range, which is really nice. So you can actually see it kind of brings up the shadows in the background of the image there. Turn that back down. We have our saturation, sharpness of the image, and then we also have backlight compensation if we want. So you can actually see that kind of brings up once again the shadows there. If I turn that down, kind of see the difference there on the table for the surface reflections. And then we can also do average, regional, or central exposure control. And then we can do either live or normal scene selection. So live is going to be a little bit more dark of a scene selection when you do that. So you can see it's a little bit more ready for bright lights or changing lights. And then we can also do anti-flicker. So if you're in like North America or Europe, if you want to do 50 hertz or 60 hertz, depending on the lighting, this can help eliminate if you have any type of light flicker, depending on the voltage going on over there. And then lastly, you have your restore default. So this will just take the sliders back to their default position. So that's most of the settings there on image. And then the last thing we already went over the USB host and then the device information, which is where you'll see the firmware that you're on, You'll see the Wi-Fi IP address, and then the MAC address sticker there, what app version you're on, and then you can actually check for updates through the app as well if you're connected to the Wi-Fi mode. So that's essentially how the Maki Live app works. So like I said, this is free on iOS or Android, and this is the main thing that you're going to want to use to get off the ground running with this Maki Live. So with that said, let's go ahead and now flip over to the web UI side of things. So in order to do that, what we need to do is get the IP address of the Maki Live now that we're connected to our Wi-Fi environment. So in order to do this, we're going to go to device information, and this is the Wi-Fi IP address, 192.168.0.88. And this is what I'm going to use to plug into the web browser to pull up the UI of the camera there. So let's go ahead and flip over and do that now. And now we are at the Maki Live web UI. So this should look familiar, and as you just saw, Maki Ultra is a very similar format. All of our Bird UI is pretty much standardized to look and feel familiar across the board. So as soon as I click a button, it will ask me to log in. So by default, your password is going to be BirdDog. And now I'm on the dashboard. So you'll have most of your information here, similar to what we kind of saw on the iPad. You can see the bit rate of the device, you can see the frame rate, the resolution, you can see once again that same system name, and then this is that information, that device information tab that we saw is right here on the web browser as well. You can also reboot the camera if you want, or you can restart it, so pretty easy to kind of get off the ground running there. If I go over to my network tab, you'll actually see this is where, if I had an Ethernet connection, this is where that IP address would pop up. If I go over to my Wi-Fi network, you will see all that information and that IP address that we entered to get here, which we use the Maki Live app to configure and get us set up for that. So this is where most of that information is going to happen. And then if we go down to the system tab, you can change things like the UI color. And this is where you can also do firmware updates if you don't want to do them through the app. You can also change the password of it, as well as do a system reboot. Now into the AV tab, this is a pretty important one, especially on the web UI, because this will give you full granular control, a little bit more so than the app does. So it is important to utilize this to set up the camera exactly how you want it. So once again, you can choose what's your preferred NIC if you're going to use Ethernet or Wi-Fi. And then you can have the onboard tally. Like I said, if you're bringing this into a program switcher, you can say, do I want the red and green preview and program tally to be on, or do I want them to be off? And then we had that RGB color cycle, custom color, white and off as well for the rest state. Same thing if you choose the PoE adapter versus UVC. Once again, when you unbox this, it's going to be UVC out of the box. And then if you change this, the camera will reboot in order to initialize that change. And then we have our encode settings. So right here we have our NDI HX2, which this is kind of the more configurable NDI and is pretty friendly over Wi-Fi. If you're using the Ethernet adapter, that's where you can kind of dive into the NDI HX3 settings. This will be kind of your highest quality, lowest latency version of NDI. And these are actually defined presets depending on what resolution you're streaming in. So with HX2, you can actually choose kind of what profile you want, from ultra to high, medium to low. And as you change those, if I go, let's see if I'm on medium here, this is 8 megabits. And then if I go down to something like low and then hit apply, you'll see it actually changed down to 3 megabits. So if you want to be a little bit more friendly on your network, maybe you don't have the most robust Wi-Fi, you can actually customize how much the bit rate is right here with either profiles, or you can actually go to variable, and then you can slide this around and do a customized setting. Moving along, you also have your video format. So this is, once again, what do you want the NDI stream to be? You can do 4K 30, 4K 25, 1080 30, 1080 25, or 720 30, 720 25. So kind of up to you on how you want to stream this out and what you're bringing it into, but all that's controlled there. Now, if you want to do SRT or RTSP, that's where you would configure in the web UI to do this. Right now, we don't have this in the app, but it will be coming soon. So in SRT, this is actually where you would set up how you want to do this stream. So you can encrypt it. You can set up the Maki Live as the caller or listener. We'll probably have a more in-depth video coming along later to show you guys how to set up an SRT stream from this. But this is where you would do this right here in the web UI. So we'll go back to this HX2 as the default. And then if we flip along to cam control, this is the web UI, and you will actually see we do have a video preview in this as well, which is very nice. If I go to cam control, you can zoom once again through this, and then you can also control the zoom speed. You can do the focus, manual, or near and far. So pretty easy. If you want to reset what the image looks like, similar to the app, you can do that right here with the reset button. And then if I move along to picture, this is actually even more granular picture control with things like noise reduction. You can change the mirror and the flip of the camera if you want. For some reason, if you're hanging it upside down, or maybe doing a POV selfie shot and you want to flip it, you can do that right here in the web UI. And then you also have your exposure controls, so center weighted, manual, shutter, bright, average exposure. Which is nice. This is your anti-flicker, backlight compensation, exposure control. And then lastly, there is the white balance. So you have your auto, indoor, outdoor, one push, and color temperature. So pretty easy to set your color temps there. Go to something a little bit warmer to make this look normal. So yeah, really easy to set the color temp of this right in the web UI. So that's most of the settings there on the web UI control. So it's really nice that you actually now have two different methods of controlling this Maki Live. Get off the ground running with the free Maki Live app, and then taking it to the next level with the granular control of the web UI. Really makes this thing a powerful powerhouse for live streaming and getting your video into productions. And so we're really excited to see how you guys use it out in the field. Hope this kind of entry-level from the ground up video helps you guys get off the ground, get into the action with this Maki Live. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will have more videos coming along showing individual tutorials for this thing as well. So can't wait to get those out to you guys, and hope you guys enjoy using your Maki Live. Thanks for watching.